What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Super Gamer Boys. I'm your host, Colonel and Dad, Garrett Morlang. And here in the virtual studio with me is the king of video games and still resident superstar, Adrian Holmes. What's up, Adrian?
That's right. They thought they could take me down. They thought, oh, a 3-on-1. We'll do that in Mario Party 2, and we'll take them out. Not so. As the late, great Macho Man Randy Savage used to say, the cream always rises to the top. And that's me, your resident forever superstar. How you doing tonight, my good man? My good second. Oh, no, wait. Where were you? Fourth? Third? You were third, weren't you?
I was third. Yeah.
My good third place.
Barely. I was barely third. That was a rough game. Because that was I was in last most of that game, right? And then at the tail end, I managed to snag something. I got super lucky. Yeah, dude. What we're talking about, if you're wondering what we're talking about, we were last Tuesday. We joined Connor McCabe over on his Twitch channel, and all the last, I think every Tuesday. They'll probably be doing it tomorrow night too, so make sure you go over there. Twitch.tv/consiscool, CONZISCOOL 69 at the end there too. And every Tuesday, they've been streaming Mario Party with friends to raise money for men's health issues, awareness for men's health issues, and raising money for a charity called, was it Zero? Is that what it's called?
Mm-hmm.
And it was for
men's health.
It was a certain kind of cancer, though, that I
prostate.
Can't, as I've prostate cancer. That makes sense. So we smashed our goal. They've met the goal every week now. It's been killer. Like, and we set the goal for $250 on top. Well, so they were already at what? They were already at like 100. They were at like 100 or 110 from the week before, and then so yeah, we managed to raise. That means we raised $140 that Tuesday. So it was a lot of fun. It was great. They're gonna be doing it tomorrow night. So make sure to tune in and join them. And yes, I am in fact, Garrett. Don't be fooled. I'm not pulling like a. I don't want to spoil the game for anyone. I don't want to spoil the game. No, I was gonna say from Metal. I was gonna make a Metal Gear reference.
Oh, smart man.
Yeah. So yeah, I'll leave it at that. So for those of you who have played Metal Gear Solid, maybe you understand the reference a little bit, but otherwise we'll move on here. But yeah, of course, JJ once again not. Oh, sorry. I guess I should, for audio listeners. Sorry, I'm wearing sunglasses. That's that's what I was going to refer to. I will not speak any further on it because again, I don't want to spoil Metal Gear Solid for that. A 20+-year-old game that if you haven't played by now, what are you doing? But JJ is not with us tonight. So he found that cranberry sauce last week, and at first, so I just talked to him on the phone. He claimed, he's like, hey, I'm doing better. I'm on the mend. I'm not feeling so great. Stomach's a little sour, but you know what? I doctor said I'm good to go. Well, I FaceTimed with him earlier today. I'm like, hey, dude, you're good to go? He's like, yeah. I was like, I called him on FaceTime, and he wouldn't point the camera at himself. I'm like, hey, dude, what's going on? Why are you hiding? I was like, hey,
he didn't tell you?
I was like, I want to see. And finally he did. And dude, it's a straight up like Joker situation where he fell in the vat of cranberry sauce.
He's stained.
He's stained red. And
That's
on top of that, I think he's gone a little loony. I think he's gone a little crazy. So I wouldn't be surprised if within the next couple of weeks we have a full Joker situation, but he's Cranberry Man or something. I don't know what his name's going to be. That'll be up to him to decide, I guess, or the police. But he's still a little loony and very red. So yeah, he felt a little embarrassed to be on the show. So he's not joining us here again. So get well soon. I don't know. Maybe the same stuff that he uses to bleach his butthole he can use for the rest of his skin. I don't know if that'll help him.
I guess I heard that stuff burns though. At least that's what he was telling me. So
yeah, you gotta do
what you gotta do.
All right. Well, today we're gonna be talking about Callisto Protocol's quote unquote paywall. Xbox wants Sony to be like Nintendo, and Pokemon Scarlet and Violet broke some serious records, and frame rate isn't one of them. But first, let's give a quick shout out to our Patreon producers, Bumble Smash, Eddie Martin, and Kajoma01, and our Super Gamer sponsors, Julie Bates and Mama Mare. Let's see. Whew, it's been a while. It's been a couple weeks. We skipped last week, so I'm like trying to okay,
get back into the groove.
Yeah. Patreon.com/SuperGamerBoys. If you want to be awesome, just like those folks I named there, head over there and support us starting at just $1 a month. You can get episodes early and ad-free, such as this show and Super Gamer Book Club, hosted by Adrian. Right now, the newest episode is Luigi's Mansion, featuring Connor McCabe from Call Me By Your Game, also the buddy that we streamed with last week, and you should go watch tomorrow at twitch.tv/consiscool69. Fantastic dude, fantastic game, and a really fun episode. For free, if you're on the fence about supporting us, you want to check out some of the other content from Super Gamer Book Club. Right now, you can listen to the Omori episode featuring Ray from twitch.tv/RayNoYuki. And that was, again, it's always a blast being with Ray, but boy, that episode was tough. That was a tricky one. So just because of the subject material, whew, it was a good game. It was a fantastic game. It's the same way that I described the Joker movie that came out to my wife, because she's never seen it. I told her don't watch it, because I know her and she will not like it. But also I'm like, it's the greatest movie ever made that I never want to watch again.
That's exactly it. I don't have to see it again. I'm good.
It's like quality is there, but you know what? I feel so sick to my stomach right now. I don't want to play that game again, or watch that movie or whatever. So
it's gonna be a long time if I ever do play it again.
Very emotional game. That's just like peak storytelling that really hits you right in the feels. Upcoming, actually, we're gonna be recording this week, and it'll be coming out this Friday for you Patreon supporters. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, featuring Nintendo Cartridge Society.
Classic.
I cannot wait. That was a fun game to get to, and check off my list, and I'm excited to talk about it with the three professionals, the three experts, I guess I should say, people who have been playing this game a lot longer than me. This is my first playthrough ever of this game, so if you want to hear those thoughts from me,
piece.
Yeah, so if you want to hear my thoughts as a newbie and their thoughts as experts, longtime players of the game, definitely support us so you can get that. We'll talk more about our Patreon later in the show. Right now, I want to give a shout out to Jack Sriracha and Yate for allowing us to use their music on our show. Thank you very much. And please go support them. Show them some love. You can go over to Spotify, go to Apple Music, listen to their stuff. It's what's playing in the background right now. And I think I even saw on Instagram that old Jack might be coming back with some music. Something up. So I'm excited. Can't wait to see what's he has in store. So, all right, it is now time to check the mail.
Why don't you go ahead and download the mail? You got your glasses on.
Oh yeah, so I forgot. Sorry, let me just.
Got your start text on.
Sorry, I can hear her. You can't.
I know how the glasses work.
Okay, all right.
I've seen the movie.
I didn't want you to think I was crazy, just talking to no one over here. No, not that. No, don't download it. No. Oh, okay.
Get out of the JJ drive. Get out of there.
Okay, here we go. Okay, I found the right file.
Okay.
It was deep in the hard drive, but I found it. Here are the questions downloaded straight from the dark web. Eddie Martin writes in and asks, what's your Mount Rushmore of Thanksgiving food? Now, this question, he originally asked, we were going to talk about it last week before we all had our very interesting that we all had Thanksgiving
at the same time
incidents last week. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Absolutely bizarre. But we were supposed to answer it last week, and then when we couldn't, he's like, wait, how am I gonna know what the Mount Rushmore is? I'm like, you know what, we just need a little extra
You'll be
time.
Just fine, boy.
Let us do some sampling. We're gonna do some very official sampling testing, bring in some experts, put together a whole panel, and then we'll get back to you with our official results. So here we are, we're back from Thanksgiving. We've eaten some good food. What's your Mount Rushmore Thanksgiving food, Adrian?
Well, if you gotta start it off, this one is very dependent on who's making it and how they're making it, right? But you gotta go with turkey. If somebody can make a really good, juicy turkey, or if they could fry one up appropriately to where it's crispy on the outside and juicy on the inside, unbeatable. Next after that would be stuffing or dressing, however you like to call it. And you have to have cranberry with it. It's good on its own. It's very good on its own. But if you don't have it with the cranberry, it doesn't reach the peak that it should be at. That would be my number 2. What?
Okay. I love cranberry sauce, but not with my stuffing, that's for sure.
What do you put it with?
I just eat it straight up, dude.
What?
I'll eat that stuff right out of the can, man. I love cranberry sauce so much. Oh, it's fantastic.
No, you gotta mix it in, dude. You mush it in with the stuffing. Oh, and it gets that little sweet tang to it.
I love the feeling of my teeth as they're just like the acid is just eating them away from the cranberry sauce. It's so a lot like how JJ's body felt when he fell into that vat.
Oh, no wonder. That's his supervillain origin. Instead of I fell into a vat of acid, I fell into a vat of cranberry sauce. All it took was one bad day. My third would be yams, of course.
Now, how
delicious.
are these prepared?
What do you mean? How yams are always prepared? Baked.
Okay. Okay. Well, because in my family, we eat yams or sweet potatoes a lot. Like, it's like a normal thing at just every meal. But I know some people for Thanksgiving will because we'll just slice them up and bake them, and it's like, okay, it's good with a little salt and pepper or something. But I know on Thanksgiving, a lot of people do it special, and they'll sweeten them up a little bit, throw some marshmallows on top. Is that what you're talking about?
No, not marshmallows, but
okay.
Sweeten them up and put the kind of like a syrup on it.
Yeah.
Or we'll do that.
Okay.
That's the best way for me to eat them. I'll eat them straight up, like regular, regular baked yams. But when they put that syrup in there and you let it sit in there and marinate for a little bit.
Yeah.
Unbeatable.
That's a good one. Especially with if you've never tried it with marshmallows, it's good because they get a little toasted in the oven. Whew, it's so good. I love it. Not a lot. You don't want to get too crazy because it's already pretty sweet with the syrup and stuff. But yeah, you add like little marshmallows. Oh, it's so good.
And then my last one is pretty controversial because I put this one on there and it's the same thing as turkey. You have to know what you're doing with it, and that's mac and cheese. Let me say this right now. If I come over to your house,
Thanksgiving, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
If I come over to your house and I see a box of instant macaroni anywhere near or the shelf or anywhere else, I'm not eating it, dude. I need you to get the good premium, or you can make it by hand, whichever. If you're gonna do store-bought, please don't do like Kraft or something like that. Get the good noodles. And you have to make it with actual cheese. Like when I put my fork in the mac and cheese and I go past the crunchy top of the exterior level of cheese, if I pull my fork out and I don't see strands of cheese coming from it, you failed. You didn't make mac and cheese.
That's interesting. Thanksgiving mac and cheese is not a. I don't know if I've ever had at Thanksgiving. I love mac and cheese, so I like the idea
a staple
of that.
At my Thanksgiving.
Yeah, now that you're saying it, I'm like, I don't know why I've never done it because it's like one of my favorite dishes ever. I love mac and cheese so much. So why wouldn't you have it at Thanksgiving? Now, how do you feel about like a cracker crumble on top of your mac and cheese? Like I know some people do that, like the cracker crust a little bit.
I'm not opposed to it. I would rather have a cheese crust on top. Just because I feel like that fits with the cheese theme a little bit better. And if you cook it just well enough, it should have that crunch on it already. But I've had it with the cracker crumble, and that's good too.
Yeah.
Have you ever had, speaking of tangent, have you ever had apple pie with cheese on the top?
I've been told about it, and
like the sharp cheddar. I'm not talking about like crab slices. I'm like
no. Yeah. Someone told me about it, and I refuse to believe that's a thing because
it's actually pretty good.
Sounds horrible.
No. Look, I don't eat a lot of crazy stuff like You know, when people put raisins where they're not supposed to go, or apple slices in guacamole, out of pocket stuff like crazy. No, and I gave it a shot, and it's actually not half bad. I don't know what it is. It gives it like a different kind of texture, and it gives it a little. I don't know if tang is the right word, but it kind of mixes that sweet and savory a little bit. Takes the edge off, because you know apple pie gets real sweet because all the apples and sugar and all that stuff. But so this kind of balances it out. Give it a shot.
I'll have to give it a shot. Okay.
And it does, and you don't drown it in cheese. You just put right enough on top so that when it cooks, it makes that little crispy topping.
Okay, I see.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Yeah, I've heard of people doing that, and I'm like, nope, that does not. I love cheese and I love apple pie, but I don't know. This is just hard to.
I think you were thinking of it as if like somebody was making a pizza out of it. No, it's not nearly that much cheese.
This is like a straight up just like pizza. It'd be horrible. All right. Oh well, my Mount Rushmore. I think I have to agree with the turkey. That's up there for me. I specifically dark meat. I could care less about white meat. Like get rid of throw the white meat in the trash on. Or no, okay. The white meat's good for sandwiches like the next week.
There you go.
But
smart man.
Dark
now you're spitting.
The dark meat's where it's at on Thanksgiving Day.
I have to fight my uncle for the legs every year.
Yeah. Well, fortunately for me, I'm the only one who likes the dark meat. Like in my family, it's bizarre. Or at least here, where like when I live with my in-laws, so we did Thanksgiving with them, and everyone either like there's a couple people who like don't like turkey, and then everyone else is white meat people. I'm like, sweet,
you're a lucky son of a gun. I was gonna say
you can come to have Thanksgiving with us. You can bring mac and cheese to our Thanksgiving, and you can have some of my dark meat.
Sounds like a plan.
I also have stuffing on there, but not with the cranberries, man. I don't know about that.
You know what? Agree to disagree, because at least you have stuffing on there. I'm fine with that.
It doesn't sound terrible. Like the apple pie with cheese, that makes my stomach kind of feel like it's flipping and flopping. But stuffing with cranberry, that doesn't make me like, I don't think like, oh, it's gonna be bad. It's just like, I don't know. I've just never had it. And
I would say next time you have it, try it with just a little bit.
Yeah,
see how you like it.
Give it a shot. Number 3 for me would be, I like a really good like dinner roll. Like I know that sounds really like basic and boring.
No, I get you.
I've had bad dinner rolls too. That's like not great. That really sucks, actually. Like, there's dry and crumbly or something like that. But if it's nice, soft, warm, like straight out of the oven, my grandma would do even like croissants, like from like the Pillsbury, like the ones you just pop open and throw in the oven. But those are like so good and buttery and soft.
Have you had brioche?
Oh, I would eat like a whole like one can just to myself of like those freaking croissants and stuff.
Dude, brioche dinner rolls. Oh my God. You want to talk about fluffy and buttery? Out of this world.
Dang. Yeah, I have not tried that. Trying to think of my number 4. So this is kind of a new thing. And I think, again, it's because I've had Thanksgiving the last couple of years with my in-laws, and they're not turkey people as much. They do ham more.
Yeah.
So I grew up in a family that also did ham, but I like turkey more. I just kind of... and
I get a little bit of ham,
I guess. And like my grandma's ham was good, but it was never my favorite. But I don't know what my mother-in-law, she doesn't do anything special. She just buys it from the store. But the way she heats it up, I guess, I don't know, or whatever brand she buys from the store, like the pre-cooked stuff, and like a spiral ham that you just warm up, basically.
Grandma, you put that oven to 370 so good this time. Woo-wee.
It is really good. I don't know what spiral ham she's buying, but it's like just perfection. I'm like, okay, all right, that's good. I might be a ham guy now. I mean, no, I'll always like dark meat turkey, but you know, that's that good old spiral ham. It's good stuff.
Right. If I put something down in front of you, you're not gonna turn away.
Yeah, exactly. All right. This next question comes to us from Sir Prince a lot, who asks, who's an overrated superhero and why?
Take it away.
So I was hoping JJ would be here because he'd fight me on it. I mean, you'll probably still fight me on it. I think Superman's super overrated.
Nope, not gonna fight you on that one.
There are so many people who are like diehard Superman fans, and I just don't get it. Like, he's cool, he can do everything, he's invincible, he's fast, he's whatever. But doesn't it get boring, right?
That okay?
To me, it's just like there just doesn't seem to be. And granted, I'm not like deep in the comic lore and all that stuff, but to me, any depiction I've seen, which is mainly movies, I'll admit, and maybe some video games, he seems extremely shallow as a character. And then, yeah, again, with the superpowers being pretty much like everything. The only time he doesn't have powers when there's kryptonite around, which even that he always happens to figure out how to get around it. It's like, okay, like what's the deal here? Like, why? Like, I think he's I don't know, a little overrated because it's just boring to me.
Well, and that's the thing is a lot of people only know him from that, and I agree.
I'm still here, by the way. I'm just covering my camera because you don't want to see what's under these glasses.
Oh, that's okay. I've seen that monster eye you got.
I've seen the light.
The reason that Superman is so boring is because there are very few people who can actually handle him as a character, right? So when you have somebody like that who is that all powerful, you have to find other aspects of the story to make it good. So the best Superman stories are the ones that explore his understanding of the human condition, what it means for him to be human, and his relationship with humanity.
Okay.
And very many people don't know how to do that very well. So when you do get a good Superman story, you get an excellent Superman story. But there's so few and far in between that the average is so low that he does fall into the overrated category. But when you do get good Superman content, it is really, really good. I will say that as a defense. I'm not gonna to fight you and you're thinking that he is overrated, because in the majority of Superman media, he is overrated. But there are very good Superman stories in the comics if you look for them.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I've just never felt it. Like, JJ is like, he's one of his favorite superheroes and all this stuff. I'm like, oh, wow.
That's because JJ's probably like, yeah, because he punches the bad guys. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he lifts trucks.
He lifts trucks. Really, JJ's like really buff, strong dude. Same as he likes wrestling. He's like looking at muscly men and no shirts.
I got questions, JJ.
What about you, Adrian? Do you have an overrated superhero?
I do. Mine is Mr. Fantastic, and it's not because he's not good at what he does, but if we're talking about the textbook definition of a superhero, like we were just talking about Superman, his power set, his strength, flies around in capes and all that, what his powers do, then he's absolutely whack. Reed Richards' superpower is his brain. He's like maybe top 3 smartest people in the Marvel universe. That's his superpower. But if you try to make a movie out of it, like when you get to the action parts, it's gonna be so lame. So yeah, as a superhero doing the surface level superhero things, super overrated. Because he can stretch a whole lot, but if he tries to punch somebody, it's just going to be his regular punch strength, unless he does like a rubber band every time.
He's basically it's just One Piece. He's just Luffy D Monkey.
No. Luffy's actually strong. You'll see.
I mean,
in time. If you ever get back onto it, episode 45.
I watched 2 episodes while I was sick last week.
Uh-huh.
It was the 2, which I think you said were kind of like filler, but it was about what's his name? The clown.
Buggy?
Yeah, about Buggy kind of getting back at it after he got knocked down.
Yep.
That's where I'm at. Yeah, I have a long way to go. I did fall off a little bit, but hopefully I'll get back on there. I think I agree with you, Mr. Fantastic. Like, with... Yeah, he's not really a superhero. I mean, he's a
He's a scientist.
He's brilliant. He's a genius, but a superhero, it's like, yeah, it's a stretch.
Mm-hmm.
Get it?
Yeah. I was trying to walk past that one, but hey.
All right. This next question comes to us from Bumble Smash. Actually, the next two questions, and they are: what is your opinion on QuickTime events, and if you think they should keep being used? So in games, you're in the middle of a cutscene. The controller's halfway across the room on the coffee table, and suddenly it wants you to press square right now to punch something in the face. And you jump up as fast as you can, grab the controller, and mash every button but square, and then you fail the QTE. Do you think this is a thing we should keep in video games? Why or why not?
I think if it's done tastefully, we can keep it around. I think people who have to do that are committing the biggest gaming sin by not having the controller within arm's reach. I don't know why you would ever do that playing a video game. It's still interactive at the end of the day.
Me neither. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy that someone would ever do that.
But there are a lot of games that have done it really well, and there are a lot of games that I'm like, all right, now come on. The biggest offender I've seen in probably recent memory is Rise Son of Rome. It felt like everything you did in that game was a QuickTime event, and I'm like, man, come on, can I play the game? Can I do the combat? Like, it seemed like every third move was a QuickTime event. I was probably hyperbole, but that's how I remember it. And then there are games like, I don't know if you ever played this one, but it's a Capcom game from the PS3 era called Asura's Wrath, where it had a lot of QuickTime events, but that was because that game was mainly more about you watching the events unfold than actually playing it, because it was basically like a giant space god anime that you were interacting with. So that worked out because they're just trying to get you to watch the movie and still keep it interactive in a sense.
Right. Yeah, I'm right there with you. If they're done right, I think they're great. I don't have any problem with them, honestly. I mean, like a lot of Sony exclusives do it. Uncharted has them. Spider-Man has them. God of War has them. Horizon. But I mean, I feel like for the most part, they're done pretty tastefully, and even in PlayStation games, even though they're used in every PlayStation game, I feel like I've never come across it feeling like it's overused. Mm-hmm. Maybe in Uncharted, there's a couple times it came close. But like playing God of War Ragnarok right now, I'm like, oh, like it happens every once in a while, and that feels earned. It feels fine. And there's even like certain death animations for certain enemy types where it's like, oh, there's always a QTE every time you kill this type of enemy, because it's like requires, both of you to take it down, which is kind of cool. I think it's like, oh, I'm fighting this thing, all right, I need to expect a QTE when I to do the finishing blow on it. So I don't have any problem with it. If it's done too much and it kind of gets to the point where it's like, all right, at this point you're just kind of feel like it feels like they're trying to just get away with like, oh, we want to give you story, but we don't have the budget or time, or that we don't care about making it into an actual game. So we'll just be lazy and make a cutscene that you can kind of interact with.
Right.
Like if they were a good enough writer or developer, then they should be able to incorporate some of the story into gameplay, right? And it shouldn't have to be just like a cutscene that you fake your way,
or at least the majority should be in there and not in a QuickTime event.
Or if you're going to do a cutscene, let it just be a cutscene and let it be an epic cutscene, like Kojima, like he has 2-hour cutscene and it's fine because it's freaking like, okay, what the heck is happening?
Right.
And I don't think he has QTEs in any of his games that I remember.
Metal Gear, I would say, is the one exception that where you can put, or Metal Gear Solid 4 is the one game where you can put your controller down away from you for a little bit, because you're gonna be watching, and that's not a dig. People know I love MGS4. I think it's the best Metal Gear, but I think that's the one exception where you could be like, all right, let's watch a little short film.
Yeah.
Let me get some popcorn.
Yeah. His other question here is also gaming related. I would also like to hear y'all's opinion on using climbing sections and squeeze through sections to give room for dialogue. How do you think y'all would fix finding the time for dialogue without a cutscene? So I think that, again, like the most recent kind of game that I'm playing right now that's doing this is God of War Ragnarok. God of War 2018 did it as well. And they have these little sections where you like squeeze through a gap in the wall, and it's very clearly a chance for the game to load a new area, basically, to kind of keep up, especially for like the older systems, for PS4 in this case. Because the PS5 definitely doesn't need it, that's for sure. There's times where like you die and literally like the screen hasn't even had a chance to go black yet, and it already at the bottom says press X to continue. Like it's ready. It's like,
can't even do it. Yeah,
let's go. Let's do this thing. Where on PS4 I know there's a few more seconds and stuff. So I don't know. What do you think about this one?
I hate it. As of November 2020, it's outlawed. We can't keep doing it. You know what I mean? Whenever the new consoles launched and they have those like SSD super speed storage where everything just loads in insane times. And it's like you were saying, of course, we have to keep support for the older consoles so they can still play it, but I don't know if it's necessarily on the dev team to figure that out, because I feel like it would have taken more time if they're like, okay, on the PS4 version we keep the squeeze throughs, and on the PS5 maybe we just have them keep going, and we just have them walk through a little gorge area, or maybe we don't have it at all and they just keep going down the path, you know, and they just talk as they walk or something. There's a way to alleviate that problem.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just like it is awkward, but I feel like at least in like God of War and like a couple other games that I've played,
Final Fantasy VII did that a lot.
Yeah, I feel like for the most part, it's like it's done pretty tastefully. Like it's not, I don't like it, but it's not like egregious to the point where it's like, oh my gosh, another one of the, like, at least like they're able to. It's not just a squeeze through section. Like if it was just like squeezing through these walls in order to load the next section and it was dead silent and awkward, it's like that would suck. But a lot of times like they add the dialogue, and I think that's a pro. That's a good thing. Like I'd rather, if we're gonna have this time, use it for something. Like have a conversation happening, telling more of the story characters.
You could also just make a path that we walk on that you could do the same thing. Or you can have them stop and act a little whatever conversation is while they're walking. That way I don't have to worry about this. And you know what though? This is a fringe nitpick thing, right? Because you and I and people who are into games like this, we know what that is. We know what the squeezing through trick is. But most people don't know that you're actually hiding loading doing that. So
yeah, people have no idea.
And then the dev team was probably like, yeah, maybe like 0.3% of people actually know what we're doing, so just keep it there.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. I think most people probably don't even realize what's happening until they really either think about it or someone tells them, essentially. It's like if they stopped and thought about it, they'd be like, oh, that's what's happening here. That's why there's no loading screens, you know?
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, to me, it's not make or break. Like I care less. Like I agree with you, like at this point with current gen consoles, we don't need it. Like get rid of it. But until that happens where we stop supporting the old consoles, and this is where we're at. So
now I tell you what, once we drop support for these consoles, for the last gen consoles, if I see it again, I'm gonna rage out. There's no point in having it anymore.
All right.
I just played another game where worlds loaded up in like entire worlds loaded in 3 seconds. We're not doing this anymore.
That's awesome. Which, by the way, because we didn't have a show last week, you have not announced your new baby.
Oh, no, I haven't. I was going to do that in What You're Playing.
Okay, then we'll carry on here. Because you kind of alluded to it here, but you didn't outright say it, so we'll move on then. That's it for the mailbag segment. I just want to address Hophead in the chat saying, Hi, what's up, Eddie? How's it going? He says, nice Tony Stark glasses, Garrett. Yes, thank you very much. It's hiding my ugly, disfigured face. I'm basically the Phantom of the podcast.
Cape and all.
That's what I need to get. I need to get one like a Phantom of the Opera mask and just wear that. Well, it's now time for the nerdy nudes.
It's now time for the nerdy nudes.
Beautiful. All right. This week we have some pretty interesting news, if I may say so myself. The Callisto Protocol death animations are not locked behind a paywall. This is from Game Byte, written by Richard Breslin. So to preface this, there was big news stories going around IGN, GameSpot, Polygon, all the big places. Callisto Protocol death animations are being locked behind a paywall. That's the news that they announced, and that's where they have basically sat. They haven't updated since then. But on November 24th, Richard Breslin over at GameByte did the real journalism here, did the hard work for us. And according to him, the death animations are not being held back. So let's start here at the very beginning. However, this week reports were being making the rounds that developer Striking Distance Studio were holding some death animations behind the Callisto Protocol Season Pass, which I looked up myself on Steam. There is a Season Pass for $20 extra. Normally the game is $60. You could spend $80 and get the Season Pass. That wasn't the only thing on there, though. We talked about it before the show, actually. Part of that Season Pass is you get 2 new game modes, plus a bunch of skins and death animations and new story DLC. So let's start with the actual facts here. Let's start before we kind of move on. So news outlets jumped on this and were like, death animations are being put behind a paywall. This is egregious. Blah, blah, blah. Kind of like blown up a little bit. Got the internet all up in a frenzy over it. Well, that is true. Technically, there are death animations that you will have to pay extra for in this season pass. That's not the only thing that's being included. There's a lot more substantial things being included. And B, according to a tweet by Glenn A. Schofield, the CEO and director of Striking Distance Studio and Callisto Protocol, clarified the confusion of the season pass and its death animations. He says, to be clear, we're not holding anything back from the main game for the season pass. We haven't even started work on this content yet. It's all new stuff that we'll be working on in the new year. Fans have asked for even more deaths, so we're making it a priority next year. So he's very clearly coming out and saying, like, if we were EA, that's not what he's saying. That's what I'm saying. That's my editorializing. If we were EA, we'd have all these death animations in the can, and we would hold them just to spite you guys.
Each.
Just to spite you guys, because we hate your guts. But we're not like that. We know how badly you want more animations, so we're planning on making more. We don't know what they're going to be, but we will be making more, and they're going to be part of the season pass. I feel like that's a huge distinction. I would have been happy, even without knowing what was in the season pass, I would have been happy just knowing that, because it's like, okay, it's not like they're holding stuff back. Everything they wanted to make is made and there. Mm-hmm. These are things that they're not even going to start until next year. Who knows when they finally finished getting all, fixed, doing all the day one bugs and patches and stuff all through December and January probably. And then probably take a month break and then jump into the new stuff, Like it could be 3-4 months before they start this stuff. But Adrian, what's kind of your thoughts on this? Because I know before the show you were kind of like, no, that's kind of, I'm not sure about this. So how are you feeling about them holding back some death animations for a season pass? Or not holding back, but including that in there.
So that's the thing, is I didn't know it was actually going to be a season pass, right? Because all the articles said all the things that people were tweeting about were saying that, oh, you're going to have to pay for death animations. What they forgot to mention was, oh, the death animations are a part of the season pass with all this extra content and story content.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that all makes sense. I'm down. I thought you were just talking about, oh, you're going to have to pay for extra death animations by themselves, which would have been That I'm not okay with. Yeah. I'm not okay with that at all. But if they're like, yo, you get all this extra stuff in the season pass, and then on top of that, we're gonna add some more death animations on there. Okay, cool. I'll see you when the season pass comes out. That's where I'm at with it. And I think a lot of people read that like me and jumped the gun and made a conclusion until you're able to get a little more context. So
yeah,
they should probably update those headlines.
Yeah, you would think they would, but it's a week later and they're still radio silent. But that's why there's news sites out there like GameBite doing the real work out there, making sure that the facts are put out there. It's great, kind of crazy because there's a lot of awesome people at those other sites. I'm not saying those other sites are trash or anything, but it's just kind of a bummer.
No, but they gotta get clicks. I get it.
They have a chance to set things right, and they're not. But
right.
So yeah, that's the case with Callisto Protocol. Even I'm hey, at the top of the show, I clickbaited you. I said there's the Callisto Protocol paywall. The thumbnail for this YouTube video is going to be the Callisto Protocol paywall. I'm playing into it 100%. Like we're definitely.
You're no better than IGN.
I'm no better than IGN. Let me tell you. But if people actually listen to our content, then they'll realize, oh, they don't actually think that or believe that. I think that's absolutely absurd. It's not a paywall at all, and I think it's a very justified season pass that honestly I would be completely happy to pay for. Especially getting more story DLC. I don't know anything about I should take that back. I know something about this game. I'm excited about this game. I have not played this game. So
nobody knows anything about this game.
Comes out this Friday. I'm sure just people reviewing the game know about this game, but if this game comes out and has great reviews, like it looks like it should, based off of just preview stuff.
And it's the fact that it's the team that made the original Dead Space. So
right. Yeah,
we're looking pretty good here. Our odds are looking pretty good.
Yeah, I might be down to pick up that season pass. We'll see. This next news story comes to us from Video Games Chronicle, written by Andy Robinson. Sony claims Microsoft's true strategy is to make PlayStation like Nintendo.
Oh, this story. Oh, boy.
Okay. Sony has claimed that Microsoft's true strategy behind its proposed acquisition of Activision Blizzard is to have PlayStation become like Nintendo and not compete in the 18-rated shooter space. The comments were made in a newly published response to UK regulator, the Competition and Markets Authority, decision to expand its investigation into the proposed acquisition. In its 22-page response, Sony Interactive Entertainment alleges that if the deal were to go through, users would leave PlayStation's ecosystem. Microsoft could raise Xbox prices, and independent developers would be harmed in the fallout. As has been that trend with the regulatory back and forth, much of the document focuses on Call of Duty and the perceived harm Sony claims the Activision Blizzard deal would cause, should the flagship franchise be made exclusive to Xbox. In one section of the statement, the platform holder singles out comments made by Microsoft that other platforms have prospered without Call of Duty, including Nintendo Switch. In its latest response, Sony says this claim ignores the facts. It's just like there's a couple of children fighting back and forth.
Dude.
Oh my god, this is so stupid.
This makes me so upset.
SIE argues that Nintendo's strategy is differentiated from PlayStation and Xbox because it doesn't rely on 18-rated shooter franchises. Games which argues Microsoft will have virtual exclusive ownership of the Activision deal should be approved by global regulators. Blah, 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 blah. Microsoft claims that Nintendo's differentiated model. It just goes on and on and on. Basically, PlayStation is afraid that if they lose Call of Duty, that no one will want to play PlayStation anymore. Which just goes to show how much faith and pride they have in their exclusives, I guess. I guess their exclusives are just chopped liver.
I was going to say, God of War, trash. Horizon, garbage. Get them out of here. We only make Call of Duty on PlayStation. Apparently.
I don't get it, because yes, PlayStation technically has had like a lot of the exclusive like scoops and stuff on Call of Duty for quite a few years. Like DLC always comes to PlayStation first, and they get they get a lot of bonus stuff. And it's been like that for years and years. But to think that losing Call of Duty would like be so devastating to them. Like, I don't know. They have so much other stuff that makes them so much money. I mean, it just seems so bizarre. They think that's the end all be all. And then on top of that, so it's not like they don't have other franchises that they could fill that gap with. Killzone. I mean, SOCOM. Like they have their own IPs that they own, or their own exclusive IPs. Do something with it.
Dude,
do something.
This makes me so upset, man. Like the crazy stuff that these two have to say to each other to try to get this big whole unnecessary acquisition battle over with. Like, this makes me view PlayStation in such a weird light. Basically, what they're trying to say is, hey, we suck, right? At the end of the day, think about it. Because they're like, hey, the games that we make, they suck. They can't compete with Call of Duty, which is wild to me. Why would you ever, as a brand, as a platform, admit something like that? That is crazy to say, oh, like what? We can't make something we've been making games for 25 plus years. We can't make something that competes with Call of Duty. What are you talking about? What? You have how many of the biggest games of the year on your platform, and you don't have the resource? Not to mention, we mentioned SOCOM, and we mentioned
Killzone.
Which one? Killzone. They also have Resistance that they haven't touched in who knows how long. Now they have Bungie. They have Destiny that they haven't really done anything with ever since they did the partnership. They have plenty of avenues that they could go down to make shooters and to make really good ones. So for them to really sit there and make that claim is almost offensive.
that's what I was just about to say. It was like, if I was like Sony Santa Monica or Bend or whoever, I'd be like, oh, okay, thanks, Sony. Like, thank you. Right. Like, that's great. And then also what popped in my head was like, all the freaking Ubisoft Tom Clancy games. Like, there's freaking Rainbow Six Siege. They got Ghost Recon. They got everything.
Ubisoft is not worried about anything.
No. But what I'm saying is like, PlayStation is not hurting for 18 plus like shooter games at all. There's a whole slew of their own IPs and others IPs that are on there. And then, back to like the comment where like, if I was a Sony exclusive studio, like I would feel so horrible reading that. Like if I was the head of like Sony Santa Monica or Bend,
they just basically told you don't matter.
Yeah, Sony San Diego, I'd be like, oh, gee, thanks. All right, well,
not the fact that God of War is the fastest selling PlayStation title in PlayStation history. No, that doesn't mean anything because it's not Call of Duty.
Freaking Last of Us and Uncharted, chop liver. Naughty Dog, screw those guys. Who's that? I don't
All
know
those
who that is.
9s out of 10s and 10 out of 10 titles you've put out in the last 5 years, they don't mean anything because they're not the scale of Call of Duty.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Okay, it's not a mature first person shooter game, but I mean that's not what gaming's all about. Like the game is all about
there's way more than that.
More. Honestly, like they make a lot of money, but like I don't know, like so many people like PlayStation
can make other games and still be successful. There's another Japanese company that doesn't make a first person shooter but has some of the biggest brands in the world. You can do that. They don't want to be. That's the thing. Sony, apparently Sony looks down on Nintendo. That's the other thing. I feel bad for Nintendo because they're so like just stray bullet. Like what the heck? Like I'm just over here minding my own business. Nintendo's like, yo, fam, no. We make bigger games than both of y'all. Right? Relax. You don't need to talk. You can't talk crazy to us at all. All right. That's the other thing. How dare you kind of shoot a stray at them? Did your game sell 10 million in 3 days?
Oh yeah.
Did Call of Duty sell 10 million in 3 days? I don't think it did. I don't think it did.
Yeah. No,
I don't think so. You better take Nintendo's name out your mouth. All right.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
No, but that's crazy, dude. Sony has so many IP that they could turn into, or they could revive into competitive shooters as far as Call of Duty is concerned. Or how about you just make one that's good for the PlayStation fan base? You know, the people who already have your stuff.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily need to be Call of Duty, but you can put it on PlayStation Plus for free. You can make a new Killzone or a new Resistance and make a Battle Royale mode for that and put it on PlayStation Plus for free. Why not? That way you compete.
Yeah.
Who's going to turn down a free game?
Absolutely no one. I mean, look at Fortnite. Look at
Right.
Fortnite.
Right.
Fortnite is making money hand over fist.
Make a
Completely
SOCOM.
free.
Make a
Completely
SOCOM and
free.
put it for PlayStation Plus subscribers. Why not?
Oh man, I miss SOCOM. That's such a good game.
Exactly my point, Garrett. It's a military style shooter. Imagine that. And it was made for squad tactics. What are most battle royales today? Squad based.
Exactly.
It's right there. It's right there. And you have Bungie. What are you doing? What are we talking about?
We're talking about two children just bickering with each other because Xbox isn't much better either. Like they're kind of playing into it and being like petty as well. It's like, come on, you two, like get your act together. Calm down.
Man, if I'm PlayStation, I have no time. I would have no time to be in court about this acquisition because I'd be too busy getting my studios together. Being like, yo, Insomniac, hey, when you guys finish that Spider-Man, guess what you're making after that? We're doing Resistance 4. Yeah.
Heck
yeah. That's what we're doing. Okay. And same deal. Whoever we can find, Gorilla. Yeah. You know what we're doing? We're doing a Killzone Battle Royale.
I would love a Killzone game. Killzone is so good.
You don't have to make a whole campaign because people for some reason don't like Killzone campaigns, which is weird. But we're going to do a Killzone Battle Royale and we're going to put it out on PlayStation Plus for free. Okay? And we're not going to give up on it after a year like they like to do with stuff. So there are ways and avenues that you could compete. Of course, you're not going to be on the same scale. You can aim to be on the same scale, but Call of Duty, it's a monolith. It's a giant.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But you not only have these shooter IPs, you have tons of other different kind of IPs that you could be just as successful with, as long as they're good. And people are, the audience is showing you. When you make good games, when you make Horizons, when you make Last of Us's, when you make God of Wars, when you make, different stuff like that, Spider-Man's, people come and people buy them. They buy them because they're good. And none of those are shooters. I don't know, man.
No,
I don't know about these companies.
I feel like they're just like grasping at whatever they can because like they just really don't want the deal to go through, and so they're just like they know they're making stuff up, but they're just trying. They're like a little kid. It's like one of my kids throwing a temper tantrum. They say and do things that don't make sense, but it's because they're just doing everything in their power to make whatever they don't want to happen to not happen. And
It's
that's what
gonna
it seems
happen.
like Sony is just exactly. That's like it's gonna happen. So like just suck it up.
This is a
and,
waste
like,
of time, a waste of money, and a waste of resources that they could have been using to put towards other projects to compete with Call of Duty.
Yeah.
To be honest with you.
Yep, I agree. Well, speaking of Nintendo and they're selling over 10 million units, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold over 10 million units in their first 3 days and set as a Nintendo record.
The other elephant in the room.
This article is written by Adam Bankhurst over at IGN. Not only has Pokemon Scarlet and Violet sold an impressive 10 million combined units within the first 3 days of launch, they also account for the highest global sales level for any software on any Nintendo platform within that time frame. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet launched globally on November 18th, and these sales figures from Nintendo include both packaged and downloadable versions. The newest entries in the legendary Pokemon franchise mark the second outing of the mainline franchise following Pokemon Sword and Shield. For comparison, Sword and Shield sold over 6 million units in their first week, which was a record for the fast-selling Switch title at the time. The Switch has seen plenty of Pokemon titles since 2017, including Pokemon Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, Pokemon Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, and Pokemon Legends Arceus, which blows my mind that that game came out this year. Like
right?
that we've gotten, like it seems so long ago, but it was not even a year ago. Barely a year ago. It was right. It was January, end of January, right? Something like that. These sales numbers were reached despite some glaring technical issues plaguing Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. That being said, the game surrounding these bugs appears to be something special. In our Pokemon Scarlet and Violet review in progress, we said after a few years of experimentation on the Switch, Game Freak has finally stumbled upon an open-world formula that successfully reinvents how Pokemon is played, while remaining true to the nostalgic childhood vision of exploration, adventure, and cute monster collecting. So there you have it. Nintendo is like, hey, you guys are over there saying it's bad to be Nintendo, but I don't know. We're breaking some crazy records over here, selling 10 million units.
Living pretty greasy over here, baby. We're doing just fine.
God of War Ragnarok sold 5-something in their first week, right? And here, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet selling 10 in 3 days. So I don't know. I think I'd rather be Nintendo in this situation, maybe. Oh, man. Absolutely insane. Now, you've played a little bit of Pokemon. You're a little more familiar with the game and just the history of the franchise in general. What are your thoughts on this? So, and I guess maybe more specifically, how do you think it gets these kind of sales despite how it's running? That's what I'm kind of surprised by.
Okay, I can break that down for you. Ready? Here's my dissertation. It gets that many sales despite it being in the terrible technical shape it in because it's Pokemon. That's it. That's all it is. That's literally it. It's because it's Pokemon.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's the biggest media brand on the planet Earth. That's honestly, that's all it is. Like, I think the next 2 or 3 down on the list combined, I think what is it? Harry Potter and is it it's Harry Potter and something else. Is it Disney or something like that? Combined don't match what the Pokemon company earns and brings in as a brand.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's insane.
So I guess my question is even like, so my next question would be, do you think a lot of these are pre-orders or like gotcha purchases where people didn't realize what they were getting? Or do you think this is despite the state of the game? You know, I think like, no, it's Pokemon. I still need it. I know it's not good, but I need this game because Pokemon.
It's a very good number of that. It's also because a lot of these are younger. Well, not, you know what though? I don't think that's true. That the majority audience for Pokemon at this point is young people. I think it's people our age trying to recapture that nostalgia. And I think it's a lot of people our age that aren't as plugged in as we are to game development, and they only saw the commercials and they were like, oh yeah, that looks kind of cool. I'm going to go ahead and pick that up. And I think that's what happened. Honestly, that's the only thing that makes sense for it to sell 10 million in 3 days is that everybody knows Pokemon, right? Yeah. The Switch is on its way to become Nintendo's highest selling console ever. So the market is gigantic. And a lot of those people bought those consoles knowing that a Pokemon game was coming. So it's a slam dunk on all fronts for Nintendo and Game Freak. But I will say this about the game itself is it is a technical nightmare, right? Frame rate is awful. There's so many different camera issues, game model issues. There are some of the texture work and just
I saw that one screenshot on Twitter where it's like the mountain. It wasn't a mountain, it was like a hill. But it was like just a repeated
texture.
Yeah, it was like a repeated Nintendo 64 like hill tile. Like
that's what I was gonna say. You know, the last time they used to do that was PS1 and N64. And they're still doing that. Like, are you kidding me? People's games have been crashing on them left and right. It's just it's a nightmare.
I know there's some weird glitches. I was watching this one guy's video where he literally like jumped over a wall at this certain spot, fell into like this abyss, screen goes black, and when it reloads in, he was at like whatever the final four is called in this game. I don't know what it's called, but like he was there and he walked up to the door and he's like, oh, there's no way they're going to let me in. And he clicked on it, talked to the guy. They let him in. Like he glitched the game just by jumping over this wall in this certain spot to like not only get to the end of the game, but then they let him play with zero. He had 0 gym badges. He had just started the game and they let him into like the final four or whatever it's called. And it's just like, what the heck? Like the game's so broken.
Now, here's the other thing though, is with that, and I am just as guilty as everybody else, right? We all know that it is a technical monster, but the game itself as a game, as a concept, is fantastic, right? What they're trying to do despite the frame rate and despite the problems is such a good experience as far as a Pokemon game is concerned, as far as a reinvention and a modernization of Pokemon, that people are pushing through all the bugs and all the you know, different crap and all that different kind of stuff to actually play the game, right?
Yeah.
And I kind of liken this one, and we took baby steps with Sword and Shield and with Arceus, right? So my observation of different phenomenon like this is, I like to say that Breath of the Wild is the realization of what they were trying to do with the first Zelda game, in the essence of you could go anywhere, you could do anything, just explore, and that's the game is the adventure, right? It's not necessarily the bosses you have to beat or the task that you have to do, but the fun is in trying to get to that and exploring different areas, right? And it's the same thing with Pokemon. If you think about the basest form of Pokemon is, you're in the world of Pokemon, you're exploring in different routes and caves and mountains and stuff like that, trying to find different, stronger Pokemon and train yours to become the best so you can beat, you know, gym leaders or whatever obstacles are in your way. And Scarlet and Violet are the first games that take that vision and kind of give it the freedom and realize it the way that it seemed like we all remember Red and Blue and Yellow back in the day making it feel. And that's the accomplishment with it. And that's why people are willing to push through the obviously terrible technical aspects of it, because that's how good it is and that's how much of a accomplishment it is as a game. So
okay,
that's kind of, and that's why I can see why it was able to sell so many copies so shortly. Not to mention there's 120 million Switches out there.
There's
too,
a lot of a lot of freaking Switches out there too. Yeah, that makes sense. Like it's such a behemoth of a franchise. Like you can't stop it. At this point, it's like a giant boulder rolling. It's like good luck stopping that thing.
Right.
But cool. Now I had one last question. Have you been playing handheld or docked mainly?
So I started docked, and it was probably one of the worst experiences I've had playing a Switch game. And I took it out and played it on handheld because I know it's less stressful on the processor and
yeah, that's what I had heard, is like it runs better apparently in handheld because it's only has to render at like 7-something p instead of 1080.
I mean, it doesn't even hit that most of the time, so I wouldn't even worry about that. But once I started playing it handheld, it kind of evened out, and it's not decent, but better, much better than docked mode. And we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. All right, cool. Yeah, thanks for that insight on that, and congrats to Pokemon Company for doing it again.
As they tend to do.
Yeah, even when you put out a bad product, you still break records. So, or I shouldn't say bad product, a unfinished product. Good product that's not finished. A good product not finished. Hopefully they will, though. I hope they come out with a good update. Like you were joking earlier, like they made enough money. Like they're gonna take their sweet time on it. I think it was before the show you mentioned that. But at the same time, I don't know. It's a bad look. Like I feel like they got to do something at least before Christmas, because a bunch of kids get this for Christmas and it barely runs. Like, oh man.
But at the same time, like we were just saying, it barely runs, but we sold 10 million. We don't really have to do anything at this point if we don't want to. It's a bad look on them.
Yeah. All right. Well, that is it for the Nerdy Nudes this week. Now it is time for our Patreon ad. This is the part of the show where I tell you to go over to patreon.com/supergamerboys and support us over there, starting at just $1 a month, $1. You can get episodes early and ad-free, such as this show, such as Super Gamer Book Club. You can be getting early access to Book Club 2 months early. That's right. You can be listening to Luigi's Mansion episode right now, and this Friday, hopefully, as long as everyone's healthy, and my eyes don't blow out of my head. Legend of Zelda: Link to the Past, recorded with our friends, the Nintendo Cartridge Society. That'll be a fun one there. If you support us at like the $5 a month level, you get show notes early. You can see what we're going to be talking about on each show. Leave your own questions, comments, concerns on each of the listener questions, on the Nerdy Nudes, whatever you want to talk about there, and we'll share it here on the show if you leave them there. So you can find all this stuff over at patreon.com/supergamerboys. $10 a month, you can be a sponsor. You get shout outs in the show. And $15 a month, you can be one of our Patreon producers. You can be our boss, pitch us segments. Just tell us what to do, basically. At this point, we have some pretty benevolent Patreon producers who are pretty easygoing. They pitch things here and there, or like kind of give tips, or they hang out, they'll jump on the show, but for the most part, we're pretty chill. So take it or leave it, however you want to do it. If you just want to help us out, we would very much appreciate you at that Patreon producer tier if you love what we do. Remember, you can also subscribe on Twitch over here at twitch.tv/thesupergamerboys. If you have Amazon Prime, that means you have Prime Gaming over on Twitch, and you can use your free Prime Gaming sub. Doesn't cost you anything, and we get $5. So think about sending it our way. We'd appreciate it. A quick free $5. And if you don't use it, it just goes to waste. This goes back to Jeff Bezos. So do you want to support Jeff Bezos and his new spaceship building company, whatever, his space race against Elon Musk, or do you want to send it to us?
Elon ain't going nowhere. He's got Twitter to worry about. That's blowing up. All right.
Oh my gosh. I don't even. I'm not going to talk about it. Let's move on. W.GG. You can support us over there as well using code SGB. And you get 10% off your order, and we also get a kickback off that. So think about going over there if you want some good energy drink. That's right. I don't have my cup down here, but I drink it in the mornings while I'm working. It has a special neurofactor in there. It helps with heightened brain function. Gives me the energy I need with no crash, no sugar, no gluten. It's a great product. It tastes amazing. I love me some Galaxy Grenade and Dub Sludge, and those are my two favorite flavors. And you should definitely try some out. Pick it up. They have a sampler pack. You can get little, I think it's like $10 or $15. You get 3 little packets, 3 flavors. You get the shaker cup with their logo on it. And again, use our code, and we get a little bit of a financial kickback from that. That helps us. It helps us a lot. So every little bit counts there. All right, that's it for the ads. Let's get back to the show. All right, this is the part of the show, Adrian, where I ask you, what you playing?
Well, a lot of things have happened since the last time we've recorded. Well, I can tell you that one of the things that I've been playing is a little title by the name of Astro's Playroom. And I know what you're thinking.
No. Wait, Adrian. How would you possibly play Astro's Playroom?
That's where I was going, my good friend. I was going to say, I know what you're thinking. How in the world am I playing this? Well, Let's see here. Well, that knuckleheaded brother of mine recently got himself a PlayStation 5 console in anticipation of God of War Ragnarok. And you know, we got to talking about it, and he was telling me how it was really cool, and you know, and I was telling him what was going on with me and the history that I have with and the issues that I have with my stuff. And you know, we kind of just sat there and hashed it out. And at the end of the day, he was like, yo, dude, like you're honestly only hurting yourself. Like Sony probably doesn't even know who you are. And I'm like, yeah, you're kind of right at the end of the day. And it was an old account that didn't really have anything on it. It just had the name, and it ended up getting permalocked because I had tried so many times to get it back. So he was like, you know what? You should probably just let bygones be bygones, start it all over, which is what I did. And I ordered myself a PlayStation 5.
There we go. We did it, boys. We did it. We won. We won.
I mean, it took me 2 years, literally.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I ordered that. It actually came really quick. I ordered it straight from PlayStation, and got here in about 2 days, believe it or not. So I used it. The first thing I did was played Astro's Playroom, and I gotta be honest, Garrett, I know a lot of people are gonna be like, oh, no way, dude. How do you think that? How do you believe that? I honestly have Astro's Playroom, and I know it came out in 2020, but it's in like my top 3 for this year. Believe it or not.
Okay.
Believe it or not.
Now, I just want to rewind a little bit.
I don't remember this conversation. I really don't.
I do. I vividly remember it because I was so sad, because I think I said the same thing when I first played mine, PlayStation 5. I was like, holy cow, this game might be like up there with Game of the Year. And I think I said the same thing because it didn't come out the year I got my PlayStation. I was like, it didn't come out this year, but as of games I've played, like, this is like up there, top of my list. Like, it's fantastic. And you and JJ gave me so much crap saying, like, no, that's a tech demo. Like, it's just showing off the DualSense. It's not a game. It's not a game. And so,
can you blame me? Because that's all I've heard. That's all I've heard about that game. Yeah. Number one. Number two, I can't imagine being that dismissive about an Astrobot game, because every Astrobot experience before this, did you play Rescue Mission? It's phenomenal.
VR, no. I never
it's phenomenal.
Yeah.
I know.
I only heard how incredible it was, but at that point I had already ditched the VR.
But honestly, from what I've heard, and I think I was upset about it because I've heard that they just took Astrobot and they made it into a tech demo for the DualSense. And that couldn't be more of a simplistic description of what Astro's Playroom is. Now I would like to say, Garrett, and I know you may agree, you may disagree. Astro's Playroom is the strongest case of PlayStation propaganda I have ever seen in my entire life. No convention, no PSX, no E3 press conference, no anything, no special edition console has pushed and pulled the heartstrings of people who have played PlayStation products more than this game. Oh, I mean, 100%. Every single inch of all of the levels have different parts of PlayStation history, parts of the consoles themselves, all throughout.
This is a game where literally every step you take, every time you even like pivot your camera just a couple degrees, there's some new cool little piece of PlayStation history. Like you'll look up in the clouds and like if you never looked up, like, oh shoot, there's things flying in the sky. Oh wait, that's a reference to this game.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna go up and smack this tree, and if you never hit that tree, like something falls out. Like, oh wait, that's from this. Like, it's literally dripping and oozing with just full on this PlayStation nostalgia and history and the love for all of it, and it's so fantastic. Like, it's crazy. And I love how all the Astrobots that are like themed on the different characters. Like,
yes,
of course, you get to that. There's like a section with a big mud pit, and there's a dude with like the Death Stranding outfit and all the box on his back, like he's stuck in the mud or whatever. And there's they're
all of them, dude.
I mean, they're
Crash
everywhere.
Bandicoot,
Literally, like
Uncharted, Final Fantasy VII, all the
so
big
good.
PlayStation hitters are. They have little Astrobots reenacting stuff from it, dude. You want to know where it got me? Was in the first level when there were 4 little Astrobots and they were all sitting around like a bonfire or a campfire, and they all had Monster Hunter gear on, and they were all playing multiplayer Monster Hunter on PSP. Oh, if that didn't like shoot a nostalgia arrow straight into my heart, man, because those were some good times. And I just like, I had to keep going. I had to see what was further up. And it is honestly, the one thing I will say is it's disappointing when I put my thoughts out there about it, that people were like, yeah, this is going to be the best use of the DualSense that you're ever going to play with the console. Because, man, the way that it uses that controller is insane. It's wild.
See, and I kind of disagree with that, because I feel like, I think it's not that there's nothing else out there that is as good at using the DualSense. It's that, well, a lot of third-party games don't use it because obviously they have to make games for both PlayStation and
poor
Sony.
Baby, poor.
I'm not saying it's an excuse that they could use, but I think in general they don't use it to the best of their ability because of that. And B, I think other experiences that use it really well, but it's just not as concentrated. This is such a concentrated experience of it that you fall in love with it. And so then when you go to other games, even if it is used well, it's just not used a lot.
As much.
So then you kind of maybe walk away feeling like, oh, it wasn't used as well there. When really it just wasn't like such a concentrated experience where this is literally everything you do is connected to what you're doing in the DualSense.
So what you're telling me is I'm going to be chasing that first high the entire time.
Yeah, but I mean, like I commented on that post on Twitter, and I'm like, well, Death Stranding. I love what they do with that because you walk through mud or gravel or dirt, you feel it in the controller just like you do in Astro's Playroom, or when you pull the triggers and like you feel the weight on your back, and the more bags, the harder it is to pull those triggers. The less bags, the easier it is. Call of Duty, you pull the trigger and like feeling the recoil of the gun, like, and the triggers like fighting back against you. Like that's a really cool feeling, at least at first. After a while, it can get tiresome, but at first it's like this is really fun and really cool. And again, I think because it's not so concentrated, to be honest, now that I've been playing my PlayStation long enough, there's sometimes I don't even know it's doing things and I don't even notice it. Like it's not until afterwards I'm like, oh, I think my controller was like vibrating there with whatever texture I was climbing or but you get used to it. Unfortunately, it's just like anything else. It's like, I don't know. I'm still which is unfortunate. Which is unfortunate. You just it's like it's just like you keep using drugs. You just got to keep taking more and more to get that high again. That's what the DualSense is. You need more and more to even realize it's even happening.
The other thing I wanted to comment on with the DualSense is the haptics. Even with God of War, I feel like they're using it pretty well. I think these haptics absolutely blow the ones in the Joy-Con out of the water, and the ones in the Joy-Con are really good. So for them to be that good is an accomplishment in engineering. So hats off to whichever team developed that, because you guys did a fantastic job. Especially, and again, I have to go back to Astro because it's the best use case of it. But to be able to simulate what grass would feel like when you run through it, and for me to go, you know what, that kind of does feel like grass. I kind of believe that would be grass, or something like that is astonishing. So yeah, I am having a really good time so far.
That is fantastic to hear. I'm so happy for you. And yeah, you were showing me your dashboard of games you have right now. I'm like, oh, you got You
I got a
have
lot of work ahead of me.
A lot of work ahead of you, but
I got all the first 2 years big hitters ready to go.
Yeah. I saw you didn't have Sackboy in there.
Is that one worth it? Because I was looking for a real Little Big Planet, but I don't think I'm gonna get one.
I only ever knew one person who played it. It was Nate, and he really enjoyed it because it has co-op, and I think he was able to play it with his wife a little bit. But yeah, he really liked it.
And here's another case of it, right? I heard that this was just their version of Mario 3D World.
Interesting. Yeah, it's not. From what I understand, it's not like Little Big Planet. It's
right.
Don't expect it to be Little Big Planet.
See, that's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
Or how come they haven't ported Dreams over with all that extra processing power?
Yeah, no, you just got to play the PS4 version. I don't know.
That's weird.
It is weird. Very weird. Well, for me, I've just been playing more God of War Ragnarok. I don't really have much more to add to that.
Which is also excellent. I didn't even talk about that, but I'm playing it as well. I
am about between 25 and 30 hours into it now. And still, I think I have a lot more to go. But I'm doing all the side things. Like any side quest that comes up, I'm doing. I'm getting all the extra armor, all the extra whatever. Get gadgets and gizmos and everything.
Done with the Ravens yet?
And no, I'm not done with the Ravens. I'm man, they're really hard because they make a certain sound. If you hear the sound, then it's kind of like a clue, like, oh, there's a Raven nearby. There's been a couple times I've heard it and I've spent like 10-15 minutes looking around, could not find a thing. Drove me nuts. So I don't know if I'm just blind or what, probably. Maybe I should take duct tapes in the chat. What's up? Those shades are looking sweet. He's asking about the new God of War compared to the other ones. Well, I've never played the original trilogy. Whatever the original 1, 2, and 3. But compared to 2018, it's
better.
It's better. Which 2018 was freaking masterpiece.
Right,
so the fact that this is better is kind of crazy, but they did it again. So if you like the 2018 one, for sure, play Ragnarok. But
I have a lot of thoughts on the classic games that a lot of people don't share. As far as Kratos as a character, they love to label him as like a one-note rage monster, and I don't think that could be further from the truth. If you actually pay attention to the story and not just go in and try to, just murder people the whole entire way through, I think there's a lot more to it, especially if you play the PSP games, which give a lot more context to Kratos as a person too. I mean, not to say that the main games don't, but it really kind of shows you that his range as an individual and why, if the same thing happened to you, I feel like you would be the same level of pissed off. So
yeah, right.
But yeah, I don't think they're necessarily comparable because they're not the same style of game.
Yeah, very different.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it there because we could go into a whole thing about it.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm loving this game, and I love that the side quests have a purpose. Like some games, the side quests really feel like just a side quest to fill time. This is the first, like, even in I'll say it, even in Spider-Man, like all those side things you do in there, it's just to explore.
It's just tasks.
Have fun of Spider-Man, but it doesn't add to the story. At least in my opinion, it didn't add to the story. God of War, there's things that I have learned about these characters where if I didn't hear that, I'm like, imagine not knowing this. Like, that's such a major key point to this character that I would have missed if I didn't do these side quests. So I
just did one and I couldn't imagine. I don't know how they put all that extra work into making a side quest that had all these extra like dialogue options and cave formations and all this different kind of mechanics, and people could have just passed right by all of that. That's crazy.
Absolutely crazy. Yeah, it's almost like a whole separate game that you're playing. It's absolutely insane. Like there's whole sections, brand new sections of the map that it's like the map is already huge, and then it'll like open up and be like, okay, here's the side quest area. It's like, what? It's the same size as the main game area. Like, are you kidding me right now? It's crazy. So I love it. Everyone should go play it. If you have PS5, PS4, go play God of War Ragnarok.
Yes.
It's freaking fantastic. I think I keep going. Every morning I wake up. Some mornings I'm like, God of War Ragnarok is game of the year for me. Other mornings I wake up, I'm like, Elden Ring was pretty dang good. So I don't know. I'm having a hard time kind of picking, but I think more and more
I'm fine with either of them. They're both fantastic to me. If either whichever one out of the two, if it's God of War or Elden Ring, I'm happy with it. I'm fine.
Yeah,
they both deserve it.
100%. All right. Well, that is it for this week. Thank you all so much for listening. We appreciate it so very much. We know you have not a lot of time in your day and a lot of other things you could be doing. And so the fact that you spend it listening to our podcast, watching us on YouTube, watching us live on Twitch Monday nights when we record, we appreciate it. If you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe on YouTube, hitting the thumbs up on there. Make sure to subscribe on the podcast feed. If you're over here on Twitch, give us a follow. Turn on that bell notification, because once in a while we'll go live even when it's not a Monday night, and you'll want to know when it is, because sometimes we do some fun stuff. You can support us if you really love what we do financially over at patreon.com/supergamerboys. Support us over there starting at just $1 a month. And that will help go towards hosting fees, games, equipment, whatever we might need to kind of help keep the show running, keep making cool content for you guys. So go ahead and support us over there, please. You can also go to sgbstore.com and buy some merch, and that also helps us out. We get to make a little bit off of each of those, not a ton, but you get a t-shirt, get a mug, get a sticker, get some fun stuff over there, and we would, again, very much appreciate it. Remember, w.gg, use code SGB to get 10% off. That helps us as well. Rate and review us on your favorite podcast apps, especially Apple Podcasts. That would help tremendously. Shout out to Jack Sriracha and Yate for allowing us to use their music on our show. Find them on Spotify and Apple Music. Links in the show description on YouTube and in the podcast here. You can go to this description and listen to them over on Spotify right now. Or do a quick little search for Apple Music if you can. I would add the links for Apple Music, but I don't have Apple Music, so I don't think I can search for them on my phone. So if anyone has an Apple Music subscription and wants to send me those links, that'd be great, because I could add that in the description too. Where can people find us during the week? Well, you can find us at supergamerboys.com, Twitter and Instagram at supergamerboys. I'm over on Twitter and Instagram and Hive, because apparently Twitter is going to implode, and if it does, gaming Twitter decided on Hive. Yeah, at G Morlang. So follow me on Hive as well if you're over there.
You can find me any and everywhere at Homeboy as usual.
And yeah, you can find JJ somewhere, but be careful. He's slowly becoming.
Because we can't find him here.
That's true. That's true. He's slowly becoming a super villain. So just be careful. Don't get too close to him. All right, that's all I got.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for another week of the Super Gamer Boys podcast. Thank you for hanging out with us and listening to us just babble on for an hour and a half about video games. And thankful that you are listening, because we love to talk about them, and we love it more when you listen to them. So, for Garrett, what should I say? What would JJ say?
Something inappropriate.
Yeah, I know. Whatever.
He'd probably make some comment about my goofy glasses.
For Garrett, the glasses Morlang, and for me, Adrian, the Homeboy Holmes, we are the Super Gamer Boys.
And we will catch you on the flippity flop.
Almost a month JJ's been gone. Can't believe it. Can't believe it. This is how he shows he cares for you, viewers and listeners.
I feel like he's like just silently quit at this point, right?
Quiet quitting is what they call it. And that's what he's doing beautifully.